Howdy team, in today's episode we are talking all about the 3 steps to launching online and on social media. Since I got involved in the online world using social media back in 2016, I've done multiple online launches and I didn't understand how to make social media work for me. But I'm going to share with you today 3 steps that have generated me hundreds of thousands on social media. They've enabled me to launch a book, my Self-Employed Mortgage Guide, back in 2017 to #1 on Amazon. When I started my coaching and mentoring business in 2019, I used these very same principles to get 19 people to sign up when we first launched. When we launched the podcast, the Financial Pro podcast, Mortgage Pro back then, that enabled it to go to #1. And utilizing these 3 steps, whether you want to launch a book, a podcast, a website, whatever it might well be, if you want to get buy-in from people online and on social media, you can adapt these principles to whatever it is that you want to be launching. When I got into coaching and mentoring, it was really apparent that I wanted to help and serve more people. I want to focus on solving people's pains and problems, your pains and problems. So I stumbled across a formula. Now there's various different formulas that are out there to making social media, work, to launching products and services. And I've just broken it down into 3 simple steps that you can use over and over again, no matter what it is that you want to be, whatever it is you want to launch. So the first step is the lead in. The second step is the launch. And the third step is live. 3 L's: lead in, launch, live. Keep it really, really super simple. Now you have to lead with value. You have to be constantly doing content online, giving as much value as you possibly can, because if you're not doing that, then you don't earn the right to be able to sell, because that's what a launch is. You're launching something with a view to sell to your audience. Now, I've spoken before about the ability of building an audience and how best you can do that. But this is about converting that audience into something. You can use it for products and services, higher value launches like books and podcasts. You can use it for coaching and consulting. You could use it for a 5-day challenge, or you can use it for anything when it comes to courses, masterminds, coaching, whatever it is. This process can make you 5, even 6 figures if you have the right type of audience or a big enough audience. So step #1, the lead in. What is that all about? Well, this is where you begin to talk early on about what's coming up. You're getting buy-in from your audience. You're making sure that they can sense there's something coming. But also all it is about asking questions of the people who follow you. You want to create something that people want to buy. You want to create something that is for others. And if you share that and ask questions and get people to answer those questions, then you begin creating content or you begin creating your course, your book, your podcast for your audience. You can ask what problems they're having, what struggles they're going through, what mistakes they're making. And your podcast, your book, your course, your mastermind becomes the solution. You can ask for opinions on titles, subtitles, themes, help and content that's ultimately needed, because the more you do that, the more results you are going to be able to get when it comes to the launch time. You can talk about different concepts that you have. It's a great way to gain clarity on your ideas by sharing it out into the world, by talking about it on your email database, by mentioning it in the Facebook group. And this could be as much as 12 or 18 months before you even intend to launch. Or it could be as little as a month before you intend to launch, because you're just getting people to potentially raise a hand and say, yes, I'm interested in what you're potentially going to be offering. These are the struggles that I'm having. These are the problems that I'm facing. And your product, service, podcast, book becomes the solution. So the lead in is all about that early foundational step to actually create something that your audience wants. Step #2 is the actual launch. And in the lead-in, you would have been telling people that this is what's going to happen. But with the launch is 2 weeks before. It must be 2 weeks before the go live date, before the sale begins, before the podcast or the audiobook is going to launch. And in this point, this is where you begin to document and create content. Now, from the problems and the solutions, you will be able to create content talking about a problem, talking about the solution, and later down the line, the podcast will be, something along the lines of, you've told me that you've got problem X, and I really want to solve this for you, which is why I've created blah, 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 blah. And that can be videos, that can be images, that can be podcasts. You can be posting once or twice a day. You can also be subliminally, subconsciously, you can be documenting. So you could take a picture of you with your brand new podcast mic. You could take a picture with you with the first edition copy of your book. You could share what's going to be happening. I've put this amazing program together. You've told me you've got these problems, and this is what's going to be covered within it. I'm going to be launching it really, really soon. Does this sound good? Is this exactly what you're looking for? And the closer you get to the 2-week point, you start to talk about the day that you're going to go live. You need to tell them what it is. You need to tell them why it exists, your audience, that is. You need to tell your audience what it is. You need to tell your audience why it exists. You need to tell your audience how it's going to help them. And you need to tell them when they're going to be able to gain access to it, when they're going to be able to buy it, when they're going to be able to engage in it. If you follow those steps, it's going to give you a fantastic launch when you go live, because you also want to offer some kind of bonus. Those bonuses could be, depending on the product, it could be, I'm doing a book and you can have a free copy of the audio. It could be, I'm doing a book and you can have a mastermind. I'm launching my podcast and I would like to gift you a free guide of some sorts. I'm doing a brand new program or course that I've never done before, and I'm going to offer 50% discount to my beta users or members of it. You can do some really cool stuff, and you can add bonuses. I'm much more of a fan of adding bonuses that you would take away rather than potentially reducing price. But I always like to launch with a cheaper price to those that are the action takers, the early takers, the ones that really want to get the result, particularly if it's a course or a program. But if you're launching a podcast or a book, that's not got any monetary value realistically for you. There's not much ROI. So it's much better to offer a bonus that's time sensitive, that's also time of yours, like a coaching call or a group mastermind or something along those kind of lines, to help people with what the problem it solves. So that's the launch. 2 weeks out, you lead into it, you start providing more value. And here's the thing, getting ready as part of the launch to go live, you must provide really simple steps. On the day of going live, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to go here, you need to get the bonuses, you must do it by X o'clock. You need to really lay out the simple steps. And this is the thing, the algorithms only show your content to 2 to 10% of people. So the fear is, I can't talk about it too much. But let me tell you, you can. Because only 2 to 10% of people are going to see your post when you do them. So you have to utilize this algorithms as much as possible. You have to post as much as possible during your launch, and especially when you go live. So the third and final step is the go live, the day of. Now, I always recommend going live one day before and saying 8 p.m, for example, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, we go live with the launch of, boom. As a reminder, here's what you've got to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. The less steps, the better, because it makes people take action because they understand what's got to be done. So the day before, you tell them once again that it's coming. You have images, you have videos, you go live, you have a Facebook group, you send an email telling people that's what's coming. Then on the day of, on launch time, you go live, you tell them what's coming, you send an email, you get people to buy in, and then you go all in, 2 to 10 posts a day on the day of launch. If you're tracking something like your podcast or audiobook, share pictures of it going up the rankings. If you're launching a course or a program, say how many people have signed up and bought in, because people will want to know that other people are taking action. And then on the day after, continue the same process that you have done the day of. One of the most important things with a launch and with going live is to have, particularly if it's a course or a program or a mastermind, have something about have a closing date, a date in which it is due to end. Because you want to create that scarcity, you want to create that speed and that pace and that action taking. Take bonuses away if you're doing it. I love a 3 or 4 day launch whereby it might open on a Friday and close on a Monday evening, or open on a Tuesday and close on a Friday. Because that means that you're just giving that opportunity for the action takers to get a result. If you leave it open all the time, there's no reason for people to take action. There's no reason for you to take action. And throughout that whole period of the launch, you can utilize your email, your social media. You can even create a WhatsApp broadcast group whilst you are live. And depending on what it is you're launching, a book and a podcast is different to launching a coaching or consulting or mastermind. A website would be in the same category of your book or your podcast. But by following these simple steps, by utilizing social media, by emailing your database, by telling people what they need to do in order to be able to take action, that will guarantee you a really good launch. I've done multiple launches just in Facebook groups without any kind of landing page, asking people to comment in or send me a DM. I've done launches with landing pages, utilizing emails, driving people to places. I tell you what, you can make 5, even 6 figures in one launch, depending on the size of your audience. It's why I'm a huge fan of building your email database, because you build a deeper connection, much like you do with your audience. It enables you to have another tool and another method when it comes to providing value, launching products and services in order to be able to solve problems and create solutions for your target market and your audience. So the 3-step launch process is the lead-in, the launch, and going live with your launch. I hope that's given you some inspiration and motivation. As I mentioned, this has helped me get number 1 on my audiobook and my physical book, my 2 podcasts, number 1 in business and number 1 in marketing is where the Proactive podcast managed to get to, ahead of some huge names. It's enabled me to launch courses, coaching, programs, and having people sign up during that period of time that's made me 5 figures in a matter of days. Hope that gives you inspiration and thought processes. Take action, take action on those steps. And remember, now's the time to become pro.